I never thought I'd say this, but I think Auburn's actually overrated on this new rankings list.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. We're dapping it up with the Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend, hanging out with us today. We're talking Auburn hoops, the number one team in the country, welcoming the Tennessee Vols. Will Johni Broome be back? As well as this portal class, because it's going to have an impact on what we're going to lead the show off with. On three, it's they put out their way too early top 25, Dap, which is great. It's that time of the year. The college football season is officially over with Ohio State winning the whole thing. And it looks like this list was compiled by Andy Staples and Ari Wasserman. And to me, Auburn is ranked number 11 on this list, which at first glance I love. I absolutely love that. And if they're the first to do that, it's going to give other poll voters and other outlets that confidence. They're like, oh, well, they know their stuff if they're doing it. Like Auburn's got the recruiting classes to back it up. Okay, let's see what happens. While I think Auburn, you can make the case for them to have a top 25 roster, putting them at number 11 is crazy to me.
See, that's where I know we love to bug and we love to promote all things Auburn, but we have to call a spade when it's on the other side, when they get undervalued or when idiot college basketball analysts say stupid things about Auburn defensively and we call them out. On the flip side of that, to be fair, Andy Staples, who's a good dude, a solid journalist, not an Auburn lover. I mean, he's not an Auburn hater either. I'm just saying he's neutral. He's a journalist. He's a reporter.
He's one of the most objective national college writers. He may be I can't think of somebody that I would put above him in that regard.
He doesn't seem to have any biases or narratives like the clown that we talked about earlier. So I would say I'm going to get that in as every opportunity I can. So I will say that the fact that he did this blows me away. And I have to call a spade and go, absolutely not. I don't see it. I wouldn't put Auburn in the top 25 right now. Is there a point during the season, because of roster reconstruction and some things that Auburn did that we'll talk about that's directly involved with Staples and his beliefs, makes them improved? Yes. If you improve from 5-7 and go 7-5 or 8-4, you're not the number 11 team in the country. And so Look, Auburn has to win its first 4 or 5 games to even be ranked, in my opinion. The way the poll's set up, I think that's the way they'll do it, and that's okay. You earn it. So what they're seeing, and Wasserman too, level-headed guy. What they know that we don't know, and we have been like dissecting this team for the last 3 months and taking it apart and know every transactions. They're seeing something that I'm not, and I'm just being fair and I'm just being honest. I can't be a homer.
I hope they're right. I hope Auburn's number 11.
I am too.
That'd be incredible. That'd be insane. But here are some of the teams that they have Auburn ahead. They've got Michigan at 12, which they just beat the national champion like a few weeks ago, which is insane. And they,
beat Alabama.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a pretty hot team that's really starting to believe in themselves and their coach and all that. So Tennessee at 13, I'm not buying it. I'm super high on Nico, their quarterback. They've got Bama at 14. As awesome as this list is, I don't know how you could rank Auburn ahead of Alabama right now. LSU at 15. I have a hard time grasping that one. BYU at 16, whatever. Arizona State at 17, which like they were just in the CFP. And I think they're bringing 17 starters back. Like,
they
what's
are.
The thought process there. OU at 18, whatever. A&M at 19.
That's whatever. Too high. That's too high. Oklahoma being even ranked shocked me. That's overrated.
I'm with. They're so into that Mateer guy. And I know a lot of Auburn folks were too. I just don't really see it. K-State, Miami, SMU, Indiana, Georgia Tech, Nebraska, whatever. I mean, some of those opinions are going to be all over the place on those, but just Auburn being above really those next 4 teams, Michigan, Tennessee, Alabama, and LSU. I'm scratching my head on it. I'm not going to lie to you.
I don't know what the variables are in this way too early poll. I don't know what the criteria is. I would love to see what it is that makes up their belief on this, one way or the other. Like I always want to say, why is somebody feeling and undervaluing Auburn and saying stupid things and dogging Auburn? What are they seeing there? I also want to see the side of, why are they over rating them? What's the analytics that tells them they're the number 11 team in the country? I can't. There's not. If they were 23rd, I would still be having this conversation with you. Being totally honest,
I think I agree. It'd be a less dramatic version of like, okay, I could see if these things happen, right? Like if Hugh Freeze cleans up play calling in the red zone and on third down, and defensively, Auburn does what they need to do to get off the field on third down, and the kicking situation fixes itself, which you've done things in all of those areas to kind of allow that to happen. But so has every other team in college football. They've tried to make changes in the offseason to get better at their weak areas from the year prior. I mean, that's just how it works. And I think it's an easier argument to make if they were 23rd. It's like, okay, yeah, I could see Auburn doing those things. And if they go 8-4 with a schedule, you lose to Georgia and Bama at home, and then you find a way to, win as many of those road games as you possibly can. Like, okay, yeah, I could see that. 11th, though, man, that's a really good football team.
Can we get to brass tacks on what 11th means? 11th means you've won 10 games and you're in the college football playoff. That's what this is predicting. You can't. We can sugarcoat this and dance around it and what it means as far as improvement. If you're the number 11 team in the country,
you've got a shot at it.
I can't see you being 9-3 and being number 11 in the country. I think you'd have to.
I'm just saying, if you're 11th, you're 10-2 with probably losses over Bama and Georgia at home. But you wouldn't, in this situation, you wouldn't make the playoff.
Correct. Oh, no. Oh, you wouldn't?
Or I guess you'd be the 12th seed. Because none of there's not a G5 ahead of them. So the highest G5 in this
they'd be the 12th seed.
Yeah.
No, BYU
Does
is
Notre
16th.
Dame count? No, Notre Dame would be an at-large, right?
Correct.
Okay,
BYU is the highest rated. No, BYU's in the what am I saying? BYU's in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And the ACC.
Okay, there's not a G5 in the top 25.
So even if there's one, though, that's the only spot they get, and then Auburn slides to 12.
Yeah, right.
I will say this, maybe, just maybe, what we get so frustrated and accuse other writers and other
SEC
sports
teams.
There you go. That's other writers and other analysts not really doing their homework and doing deep dives and just throwing stuff out there. Maybe these two really, really did and said, okay, look at what they added. Look what their deficiencies were last year, and did Auburn address their deficiencies? And when we go to segment 2, I think that question gets answered.
Yeah, and it's kind of an echo or a callback to when we did a show talking about this. Let's jump into that in just a moment. We could kind of see, okay, this is why they put Auburn at 11, how it could make sense, but I'm still not buying it. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks. Darrell, can you imagine playing daily fantasy sports anywhere other than PrizePicks?
No, I really couldn't. I couldn't.
No. With over 10 million members and billions with a B, billions in winnings, PrizePicks has changed the game in daily fantasy sports. Whether it's the playoffs or the regular season, PrizePicks has made it easier than ever to win big while enjoying all of the football action. Here's how it works. You simply pick more or less on 2 players and their specific and respective stats. And if your picks hit, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Yes, 1,000 times. Darrell, 1,000 times. Not 100. There's an extra 0 there. 1,000 times your cash. Ready to run your game this football season? Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 just for playing. Don't wait. Take your game to the next level with PrizePicks. PrizePicks, run your game. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. So Andy Staples, Ari Wasserman, put Auburn at number 11. And they're way too early, top 25. Was a week ago, 2 weeks ago, Andy Staples said that Auburn was the best in all of college football when it came to addressing needs in the portal. Not portal rankings, not overall, stars and, whatever it might be, just at addressing needs, which is the most important aspect in all of this. If you sign, a bunch of 4 and 5-star guys at quarterback, which is kind of what we saw Ole Miss do a few years ago, and everybody was talking about how great their portal class was. And it's like 3 of these guys aren't going to play because they all play the same position. That matters. And I do think Auburn was really, really good. Every guy that they added this portal window, you're like, this makes sense, and they're probably going to play, and they're going to have a key role. Was it enough to say, yes, they're a top 15 team in college football? I still say no. I still say no to it.
The only inference I could make as to why he made that leap was that he took what Auburn had coming back in the receiving room, in the running back room. Guess what? The offensive line, that's a key component about teams that play really, really well. Experienced, veteran, returning offensive line. And then said, okay, they've got some things coming back that are strengths. Cam Coleman, some defensive backs that are really, really good. What are their deficiencies? Oh, it was quarterback, special teams, this, that. Did they go out and address that? Oh, yes, they did. Mm-hmm. So now he may think the merging of those two things and having Auburn be the number one, it was a graphic that showed the number one team addressing their needs. They were ranked number one. He might feel like, okay, if I say that, I've got to kind of back that. I've got to put my money where my mouth is. And let's be honest, Zach, yeah, Auburn added some great things in the portal, Singleton
But I think if you're putting yourself in Andy Staples' shoes, where he did say that Auburn was number one in addressing needs in the portal, which I don't think is a crazy take, put him at 20 or 23, like you said last segment.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a big leap. And again,
like you said, that's saying like I'm projecting you to go to the playoff. Like that's Is it belief in Jackson Arnold? Is it belief in Hugh Freeze? Is it?
No, it can happen. Now, look, this isn't unprecedented. We're acting like this is fairy dust and Tinkerbell. I mean, Arizona State, we mentioned them earlier, is a perfect example of somebody getting a game-changing player in Scattaboo and going from the worst team in the Pac-12 2 years ago to a college football playoff appearance. And Auburn's got more pedigree than the Sun Devils. So I think that, and you look at the roster.
Are you
that
saucy
Auburn,
today?
I am a little saucy, a little salty.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
It burns me up that they made a playoff appearance before. Anyway, I'm just going to let that go. So Auburn's roster is, to me, better than Arizona State's roster was last year. Now, their quarterback's better, and Scattaboo is a stud. I get it. But Auburn's offensive line, their defense, their receivers.
And Auburn doesn't get to play the Big 12.
Exactly. But there should be some earned, difficulty points for that. Like if Arizona State had lost 3 games and Auburn had lost 3 games, Auburn's going to get the nod or get the bid because the conference they play in. So that's another factor. A 3-loss SEC team's getting in at some. I mean, they're going to get in at some point.
Yeah, that's probably true. At some point, that's probably
so.
True.
I don't know. And but that's what this is saying. He's saying that they address needs in the portal. They increased. I guess you look at the fact that they got the number 1 rated receiver in the portal to go along with probably one of the highest rated freshman receivers coming back. And you can check that box. Offensive line, check that box. Defensive backfield, check that box. They probably did their research. God bless them. They did what everybody else should do. I still think, even though they did all that research, that's too high. And I can't see it. I can't spin it.
I think the biggest hole on Auburn's defense is the defensive line. I don't think it's close because not only do you need talent, you need bodies. Like you need both of those things. And I do think that'll be a position group where a lot of guys enter the portal post-spring, not too concerned about it long-term. But like what level of player are you going to get? Like getting a guy who's the same caliber as Isaiah Rakes last year or Phillip Bleedy? Like, does that change how you feel about the defense? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But to me, let's assume they get those two guys or a better version of those two guys. And it's like, okay, all of a sudden, like you've got an SEC defensive line again. Because you feel good about the edges. You need that interior. And so let's assume they beef that up a little bit. And maybe they get another linebacker. And it's okay, like the roster looks pretty good. You know, you've got multiple top 10 classes out of high school. You've got multiple top 5/3, depending on where you look, classes out of the portal. Okay, cool. And then like the class that was ranked 19th, you've got a lot of those juniors that are ready to go with Connor Lew and Keldrick and Can. But the question to me still is, can you score points without shooting yourself in the foot? Can you look prepared on Saturday? Better roster helps. But I just don't know how you can look at the coaching from a year ago and say, yes, this team is ready to make the playoff.
I agree. There was a third component that I left out that I think he is considering probably weighing too heavily, and that's the recruiting class that's coming in too. He's probably looking at that and going, they got the number eighth ranked class in the country. Freshmen play earlier now. So maybe he's thinking of those three components, what they have returning, what they got in the portal, and a phenomenal class. But at the end of the day, it comes down to execution and development. And you can have all the roster studs you want. I get the Jimmy and Joe. You know, you hear that all the time. It ain't about X's and O's. It's about Jimmys and Joes. Bull crap. Well, sometimes it's about X's and O's when you can't score inside the 20. Right. Sorry, it is.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to amass that many yards and not have that many points. It's insane. Mm-hmm. But how many freshmen play, though? Like, to your credit, Deuce Knight, no. Alvin Henderson, no. Right?
Yeah, not significant.
Derek Smith, Sam Turner, Eric Smith.
One of those three.
Maybe, but like sixth receiver if they do, right?
Yeah, right.
Hollis Davis and Ryan G, I think both of them play. Broderick Scholl, Cale Ellis, Ty Buster, Jacoby Ward, none of them play, right? Defensive line, Malik Autry, Jordan Crawford, Antonio Coleman, Darian Smith, all four of them may play. All four might play.
Yep.
Jared Smith at edge, probably. Yep. He's like the fourth edge rusher, but like I think
just got his fifth star. Yep.
Did he really? What publication? Yeah. I missed
Rivals.
I've always said Rivals is the best.
They just gave gave Deuce his fifth star too, a half hour apart from each other yesterday.
I thought Deuce was already a 5-star at Rivals.
Right, they made the announcement.
Good, awesome. JJ Falk, Elijah Melendez, Bryce Diaz. Melendez,
yes, he's a man. He's ready to play.
And then DBs, they all might play. Fagans, Winters, Donovan Starr, Blake Woodby, Devin Williams, they all might play.
Winters will play day one. Significant snaps.
I think all of them will contribute day one. Even Devin Williams. People are low on Devin Williams. I think he's good. I think he's a good player. So yeah, maybe that does have to do with it. Maybe so.
I don't know. I still I'm trying to spin it. I'm trying to find
I want it to be true so bad. I want it to be true so bad. I just don't see it. There's got to be a leap somewhere. And I'm not saying the leap can't happen, whether it's and maybe it was all quarterback play, Darrell. Maybe it was all Peyton Thorne. I don't think it was, but maybe.
Exactly. And let's be honest. If Auburn wins 8 games and goes to a nice New Year's Day bowl game in Florida, sunny Florida, and wins, that's a leap. You go from 5 wins to 9.
If you go 8-4 and then you hold on to what you have, you can make the playoff in 2026.
And if you go 8-4 and I say win the bowl game, I'm tired of Auburn losing bowl games. Go 8-4, win the bowl game to get some momentum going into the next year, and then that is a leap from 5-7.
Yep. Auburn basketball hosts Tennessee this weekend, and they've got a chance to make a statement, even though they're already number one. That's next right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Talkspace. Therapy is a game changer. It can help manage stress, improve sleep, and communicate more effectively. But finding the right therapist in fitting situations into a busy schedule can be a challenge. That's where Talkspace comes in. Talkspace is the leading virtual therapy provider, making getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. With Talkspace, signing up is simple. All you do is you match with a licensed therapist who fits your needs. It usually takes about 48 hours, and it's convenient. You can have sessions from the comfort of your home and even message your therapist in between appointments. As a listener of this podcast, you can get up to $80 off your first month with Talkspace. When you go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnCollege and enter the promo code SPACE80, SPACE80. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnCollege and enter the promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month and show support for the show. That's Talkspace.com/LockedOnCollege, promo code SPACE80. Final few minutes of today's edition of Locked on Auburn. The Auburn Tigers, the number one team in the country, get the midweek off. They get the chance to get healthy with Johni Broome and Dylan Cardwell. And I'm sure there's other guys who are battling through some stuff that they're going to be able to recover over the course of the week to host the Tennessee Vols. And I just think, I think the fact of the matter is, like, with Georgia being so close, and we said this after South Carolina, and we were right when they ran Mississippi State out of the gym. I think they're going to have another chance to absolutely run a very good Tennessee team out of Neville Arena Saturday night.
Well, Tennessee had to play a Tuesday night game. They had to play a midweek game. They came off and they played a Mississippi State team, which takes a lot out of you. Mississippi State, whether you win, lose, whatever, they are physical. You expend a lot of energy when you play Mississippi State. Of course, Tennessee, lost that weekend game at Vanderbilt. I think they're a completely different basketball.
Good. Mississippi State's a good team. I mean, imagine having to play them without your best player.
Oh, and win by 24?
I think it was 22. Regardless.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Incredible. Yeah. He gave us too mumuch credit there. Give us a little too much credit.
I was Andy stapling it. So I think that stapling is a legitimate, verb. I think that Tennessee on the road looks completely different too. They just do.
Agreed.
Rick Barnes said that. The question mark on whether or not Broome's going to play, he's out of the boot. We'll see. Auburn is saying they want him at 110%. They want him completely healed. It's going to be up to him. I get all that, but I still think Auburn can beat Tennessee without Johni Broome at home with game day there.
Do you think the rest. This game still means something to Bruce Pearl? Or do you think it's been far enough removed from his time at Tennessee, and he's beaten Tennessee a bunch since he's been here? Do you think it still means a little something, or do you think it means something for different reasons now?
Both. I think it'll always mean something because of where he made his mark in big time college basketball, how he got unceremoniously, whatever happened there. I think he's always trying to play catch up and prove himself and right a wrong that he left not feeling good about. It was a stain for him. I've heard him speak about it publicly at a charity event, and he said it eats at him that it ended that way because he feels like it was a legacy thing. So I think that, and then I also think that Tennessee and Auburn for the last few years have always battled for that number one spot, the regular season title. Auburn beat Tennessee in 2019 to win the SEC tournament. But I know this. I know that there are some teams that Bruce Pearl plays that there's a little animosity between head coaches. He doesn't lead on that there is, but him and Rick Barnes respect the crap out of each other. They do. Sure. Barnes was on his congratulations video for his most wins. They really respect each other, and I think it's two programs that have been near the top of the SEC in basketball the last 6 or 7 years. So it means a lot for both reasons. Listen, don't underestimate this thing. I know I keep harping on it, but being able to sit back and not play this week and just get refreshed and get the fresh legs. It's a big deal. The SEC is a grind, and when the legs go, your shots don't fall. I saw Auburn fatigued on defense for the first time last Saturday against Georgia, and I think you won't see that again having 7 days rest.
Yeah, and do you think that fatigue was the grind of the season, or do you think it was Johni and Dylan?
Both. I mean, it was the grind of the season. Yeah, it was the grind of the season and how it was starting to get to that point where you hit that wall. And then now you're playing really with a short bench without Dillon, without Broome. So, yeah, the combination of that was the perfect storm. That's why I think they look tired. I don't think you're going to see that Saturday. I think they're going to be fresh throughout the whole game.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I like the Tigers in this one. I like them a lot. So, Darrell, how can people check out everything that you've got going on?
My socials, you can follow me on X, DAP6410. Never have been on TikTok, so don't worry about that. Not an issue. Darrell Dapp.
TikTok's back again.
I would have even known because anyway, Darrell Dapp on Instagram, and then if Wednesdays and Fridays with you, and then Sunday nights, right? The barn. We do with Kyle Rush, Charlie 5, me, you, and him. On about 8 o'clock, we go live. We have a lot of fun. We do.
Yeah, that is fun. Be sure to check that out. Please like the video. Please subscribe. And if you're listening on audio, please leave a review and subscribe there on iTunes and Spotify especially. It helps the show out a ton. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.